Welcome on board, ladies and gentlemen. Heute gibt es den zweiten spannenden Teil mit der lieben Firepilot Steff. Ich finde es wirklich beeindruckend, welche Arten von Piloten es auf dieser Welt gibt. Und Feuerpilot ist sicher eine der spektakulärsten Arten eines Piloten. Ich wünsche jetzt viel Spaß beim zweiten Teil. Do you know all the people who are flying the helicopters and the tankers? Is it more like a family?
It is to some extent, for sure. The longer you do it, the more you meet everybody. The state of California, I certainly know most of them, but there's an entire federal fleet of aircraft.
Oh, okay.
And they don't all come to California, but when they do, we get to know them too.
Wow. Do you have to make a special training? Is there some education or training for your job?
So our requirements are basically Part 135 captain. So it's 1,500 hours minimum total time. You're not competitive at that point. Although with the pilot shortage, that's going to change, particularly since we're so VFR dominant.
Yeah.
But the training is really mountain flying, and the weird skill set of being able to listen to 6 radios at the same time.
This must be crazy.
Yeah. And manage that. Yeah.
Because
the other part is if you're sitting at a place 6 days a week,
this must be hard as well, right?
Who don't want to do that.
Yeah, sitting and waiting, and be prepared mentally. It must be very. It must be very it must be very hard, right? Sometimes.
Well, it's really a matter of entertaining yourself in a way that you can walk away from it immediately.
Yeah, okay.
You don't want to get in a big fiberglass project, but if it's something simple that you're fixing your bicycle, you could walk away from that and go fly. Excuse me a moment. Sorry.
Wow, that's just so. How many people or how many aircrafts does the U.S. have? Federal or the state California? Do they have 12 bases? So they have 12.
So California has 12 OP-10s flying. We have 23 tankers, and that's statewide. And we're just going to start augmenting that with C-130s.
Okay.
And so over the next 10 years or so, I think we're going to add 5 C-130s.
Wow, okay. So there are not many pilots like you, right? So only 12 in California?
Yeah, 12 plus the relief pilots. And yeah, so about 15
okay.
of us.
15.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't call sick, right?
Yeah, well, that is actually a big problem. And with the pilot shortage, again, it's something they have to deal with, as with everybody, right? You need the pilots to do the job, and we have to be competitive. And as a career, it's one of those things that you either this is what you really want to do,
yeah, I guess
and the weirdness of it is totally okay, or you get all your ratings and you go, I don't want to do that. I want to go get a real job. Or I fly, a 4-day trip and I'm off for 5 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Not everybody's built for this kind of flying, right? I guess.
Yeah. And that's fair. Even sitting reserve, right? You try to get onto a line, be a line holder to try to have more control.
Yeah.
So.
And how does the work with the ground crew normally works? Do you have radio contact with them as well?
Yeah. So we have 3 radios basically that we're talking to people on the ground. And sometimes, you're up in the backcountry, up in the mountains, and we've got to try and help an engine get to a fire. They're in the forest. They can't see where the fire is.
Yeah.
And so we're often flying roads and trying to figure out how they need to get in there. We'll tell them, the fire is moving in this direction, or you need to move out of there. The fire's coming right at you. So we're definitely the eyes in the sky.
Okay. So just to make clear, there's no way you can put out a fire with the tankers?
That is, I'm sure somebody once had a small fire in the retard and put the fire out. But we are there to support the ground troops.
Okay. So you're
and
just
no
more...
matter what, ground troops are going to show up and make sure the fire's out.
Okay. So you are more like making the way for the ground crew to pass the fire to them, or so it will not extend anymore, right?
Right. So that is what we do. And then they bring, bulldozers in often, and they're cutting fire line, and we work with them, and we'll drop in front of them so it cools it so they can bring the dozer in. And so, we're just supporting ground troops. But
when, let's say, for example, the fire is in the mountains, very remote, so the ground crew it takes more than an hour. So what are you doing then?
We'll just continue to drop retardant to try to keep the fire corralled until they get there.
Wow. Well, this must be also very tough, right?
Well, you just hope you're successful. It's frustrating when it starts to run away from you. And And it's always a matter of, well, let's order some more tankers. Let's get some more in here. Let's figure out what we need to do. And helicopters are great if you've got water right next to you. So you start looking at what you can have. If you have a CL-415 and you're next to a lake, call for that guy to join in the party. Yeah. Put him to work. So a lot of it is knowing what assets you have and what's going to work best for the fire.
So you are more like a manager, right? So in the air. Yeah.
Yeah. I basically fly around in circles. The guy behind me does all the work. Giving credit where credit's due. Yeah, okay. I just steer in right-hand circles.
Oh, okay. Is it a rule to make a right-hand circle?
It actually is.
Okay, I see.
for obscure reasons.
So your job is quite dangerous, but still very simple, right? Flying right circuits.
Exactly. Fly right-hand circles. Answer the radio. Yeah. And keep an eye out for everybody. I mean, there's often times where I'll see two tankers that are, maybe haven't seen each other, and I can point them out. Or we're working in airspace where there's a TFR or something that they may encroach on that we don't have a clearance for. And so just like air traffic control, I'll say, hey, you need to not go there or whatever. Because they're totally focused on trying to get the retardant on the fire, and they, might forget that there's other airspace. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, they're focused on their mission, right? So on their target, right? Yeah, and you have to watch over them, and okay, see. So why are you doing this job? It's just it doesn't feel very attractive to me to be honest, right? So,
I love it. I was a firefighter before, and then I got paid for all my ratings by being a firefighter. So it was kind of a nice combination to fight fire and fly. Mm-hmm. I really like the mission. There's just something about when there's a big fire and everybody's in it and we're all working to put it out. And it's, I haven't been to war, but when the ramp is full of tankers and everybody's working hard and the firefighters are loading the tankers and everybody's just hard at it, there's just a feeling like you don't get when you fly passengers from one place to another.
I guess so. It must be very intense feeling.
Yeah, and it's very just mission oriented. We've got to put that fire out.
Okay.
And so that is a ton of fun.
So, what about the future? Is there some projects with drones and everything to not endanger the life of the retardants or the firemen's?
Ask the question again.
Sorry, is there some projects going on with drones?
So as most pilots, I'm not really a drone fan because I want that job. But so drones are definitely coming to the fire world. They'll be flying certainly at night. They'll be flying some infrared for us. They have a place. But I don't think you can get that big picture like you can when you're sitting over the fire in an airplane that's basically one big glass bubble.
Yeah, I think I will just to say maybe in the future you are still in the air, but the retardants are drone pilots or something like that?
I don't think that would work either.
Okay.
So when we get to a fire, there may be power poles that you need to look at. There may be dead trees. Again, I haven't flown a drone. I don't know what kind of cameras you would need, but they'd have to be pretty sophisticated to catch what the human eye can see and adjust for. You may have to cross a ridge and push hard to the bottom in order to do your retardant drop. I just think a human flying equipment is going to be better than a drone for quite a while yet.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because you are operating on the edge. Yeah, so.
And there's a lot of, there's smoke, there's some trees, there's a fire line. It's invisible through the base leg, and you can only see it just as you crest. Okay, now you're on final. There's my drop. I suppose you can do that if you're sitting somewhere halfway around the world with a camera, but it's hard for me to imagine that it's worth it at this point to go there.
I see. So you need the gut feeling and everything, the experience. Yeah.
You do, and we're pulling aircraft out of the desert that don't cost much, that we're tanking, and we're flying them. So what kind of drone development do you need? I don't know what those numbers are, but yeah.
Wow. This is pretty amazing what you're doing. So thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Great. So, and how long do you think can a pilot do this kind of job?
Well, we just had one of our pilots retire out of the tanker at the age of 85.
85. Holy.
Yep.
So if I say I'm retired here with an airline pilot, then I can go to California.
Sure, and they're flying 747s.
As a tanker?
There's a federal flying a 747.
Oh, really?
On fires, yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. See?
How do you load the 747 with water?
It takes retardant. Takes 10,000 gallons. No, it takes more. That's the DC. 10 takes 10,000. The 7.4 takes almost 20,000
gallons
of retardant.
Wow.
Yeah.
This must, in liters, this must be about almost 80,000 liters, right? Yeah. Almost, yeah. About 70,000 maybe.
Yeah, and retardant weighs about 9 pounds a gallon. Mm. So, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe let's say in 25 years, I still love flying. Maybe I come to California.
Or you just drop a trip or two and come fly retardant.
Yeah, why not? Then I have to give you a call again for sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's so crazy. Wow. Are there many women in your company or in the fleet?
In the industry, it's less than the national average. I think the national average for U.S. is about 7%.
Yeah, 5 to 10. Yeah, worse.
Yeah, and the company I fly for is right at the ragged edge of meeting that. But as far as all firefighting aircraft, it's definitely less. It's probably 3%.
Wow.
For no good reason, might I say. All women should come do this. I'll just put that plug in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I support it 100%. Even in the airline industry, the female rate is too low, I guess, right? So yeah.
It is, and I don't really know why. The only reason I can see is that if you want to start a family, it's difficult. But it's difficult for the guys too.
Yeah, I guess if you're six days a week at the base waiting, and 1 day off. So and when you come home, everybody's sleeping. So yeah, I guess it's very hard, right?
Yeah.
So you need really passion to do this job, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, like most pilots.
Yeah.
Y'all are a little crazy about flying.
You must be really crazy about flying if you're flying what you're doing, the OV-10. I just read it. They flew in Korea at the Korea War as well. So, wow. It's very old aircraft, right?
Yeah.
1965. 1965. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. In the Korean War, they started with the O1, which was that Cessna tail dragger single engine.
Okay.
And then they went to the O2, which is the Cessna 337 push-pull twin boom. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. The Skymaster.
Yeah.
And then they went to the OV-10. So in one war, they went from single engine piston to twin engine turbine.
Twin engine turbine. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, and then once again, about your flying job. So you're flying about 100 knots in circles and stay there for 4 hours and coordinating all the stuff and listen to the radios for 4 hours straight.
Mm-hmm.
This was very exhausting, right?
It can be.
Because when I'm doing one approach, right, and I have to listen to 1 or 2 radios at the same time, it is very, very complex for me as well, right? So, and then you have to coordinate all the aircrafts as well. 6 or 8, you said, right?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly with helicopters and everything else, yeah.
And no radar support, so just the TCAS, yeah. It must be very tough.
It's really visual. I mean, you have to have visual on them before you decide what you're going to do with them.
Okay.
So,
most of your missions, are they successful? Is there a rate for your success rate?
Yeah, so, and I don't know the exact numbers, but CAL FIRE's goal is to keep all fires under 10 acres. In the past, we've been successful to about 80%, 90%.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah. Obviously, the ones everybody hears about are the ones that we're not successful with because they become very big. So
really big, right?
Yeah.
So at the worst case scenario, all the 12 bases are called, and then you're flying with 12 areas, or so? How does it work?
Yeah, so I mean, it could happen that basically every base has a fire going. Not usually the case. So usually, you'll have 2 or 3. Like an area is particularly dry and windy, so maybe that in the next few days you'll pop a few fires. They may draw some of the other aircraft up to support, or down, as the case may be, if there's one area that seems to be super busy. But at 230 knots, I can get somewhere pretty quickly.
Okay.
And then still come home and cover my area if needed.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty flexible system.
Okay. So if the fire is getting bigger and bigger, so you don't need another OV-10 to just split the area up, or how does it work when the fire is getting bigger?
That can happen. We can make a fire basically 2 fires by drawing a line through the middle and putting one air attack on one side and one on the other.
Okay. But that's normally not the case, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
So is there... Well, what is the worst case scenario for you guys? So you just is there some procedures you have, like a checklist you can count on, like we have in a just an airline pilot?
So we do have procedures, particularly about how we get to a fire and talk to each other. Because before we've organized all this, there were fatals. Doesn't somebody else have to die to make a rule? Yeah. So we do have procedures. Obviously, we have aircraft checklists that we use for flying the aircraft. And then at the fire itself, the firefighters have things that they do. So when they work with us, they're working within the parameters of how they manage a fire. And so we're part of the management structure. So in that sense, there's a checklist on who's responding to who and whose job it is to do what and what that job is. So yes.
You have to stick to your protocol, and then
yeah.
And is it how do I get this? Are there many casualties at the ground crew because they are very close to the fire, right?
Yeah, no, there aren't in the grand scheme of things, and we try very, very hard to obviously have nobody get injured.
Sure.
For us, the biggest struggle from the air side is that when we go to drop, there can be nobody on the line that they're going to drop on because retardant has obviously weight, and people have been injured in the past, if not from the retardant, from a branch that fell from a tree because of the retardant.
I see.
So our job, again, as air attack is to make sure that the firefighters are off the line. They're very clear that there's an aircraft coming to stay out of the way. And the tankers are also looking because they're now at 150 feet and we're at 2,500. And they'll let us know if they see people down there. They won't drop and they'll go around.
Okay.
So,
is it more like you giving very precise instructions, like heading now 250 and then go down? No, they're doing all that.
Yeah, so there's a fire burning, and it's usually the Okay, do you see the road there? All right. From that house to the road. Can you drop retardant from that house to the road? Yes. Okay. Don't put any on the road. Okay.
That's all.
So usually we use landmarks.
Okay.
Or a direction, like fly up that flank. Well,
Okay.
I don't really care if it's 250 or 090. It's pretty obvious when a fire is moving what we're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult when a fire is sort of under the canopy, somewhere in those trees. We can't really tell where it is. We just see smoke coming up.
Yeah.
And it's one big green forest. Then target descriptions become difficult. Usually we have somebody drop, and then we could use that as a reference.
Drop a mark or something? Or?
No, just drop retardant. So
okay.
If you can see where to drop, let's put it there and let's start working from that point. Because sometimes it's just an amoeba, and it's so hard to describe something.
Yeah, I guess so. It's everything is green, or it's a mountain and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow. I just try to imagine how your jobs look like, and it must be very tough in my point of view.
Well, the next time you're flying into San Francisco or something, and we've got a big fire, you can look down and imagine what it's like at 2,500 feet.
I will come and visit you on my free day and
absolutely
off day, and maybe
show you around.
Yeah, but you have only a 2-seater, right? So there's no place for a jump seater.
No jump seaters, unfortunately.
I guess, sure. Yeah, it must be very interesting to see how you're flying, and how the returns are when the tankers are flying, and how the real operation really take place. I saw some movies, but they're still movies, right? So it's not the reality.
Yeah. There's some video on YouTube probably on it too. You asked earlier what's the most frustrating, and for us the most frustrating is when a fire finally smokes us out and we can't go to work.
Okay, so you have to leave.
We get a high pressure and the smoke just won't leave, and it squishes down. Yeah, then we all sit and wait.
Oh, that must be tough. Sitting and waiting, doing nothing.
And the fire's burning and we can't get to it. Yeah.
But it's normally not the case, right?
Well, it does happen though, especially in the valley, because we get the high pressure, and then it goes IMC and we can't go.
Oh,
so,
yeah, I can imagine.
If it lifts, we try to at least move the aircraft to where it's remained VFR, and then we'll fly out of there. So we may have 5 OB-10s sitting in one spot, but at least they're, VFR, and we can go fly.
Yeah. Wow. Steph, that's so interesting, really. Yeah, I want to switch for one day, but just for one day with your job, but only for one day.
Well, seriously, if you have a chance, you've got an overnight or something,
in San Francisco,
give me a shout. We'll see if we can get you to a base. Check it out.
It would be so great. Yeah, hopefully we meet in person someday.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Stefanie, thank you so much for the interview. Thank you so much. I have a last question for everybody I'm interviewing. Do you have an advice for people who are afraid for flying?
My advice would be go for a flight in a little airplane and go steer it around yourself and find out it's not really that scary.
Oh, okay. So cool. Good advice. Yeah, why not?
And besides, you might get hooked, become a pilot.
Yeah.
That's how we all started.
Yeah, it's just how it started normally, right? Yeah, in Germany it's pretty expensive to fly an aircraft, not like in America.
Right.
Yeah, but so it's not very common to fly an airplane here.
No.
But in US,
and they don't have the EAA doing free flights for children, things like we do in America.
Oh, you do? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, we need more pilots.
Yeah, we need more pilots. That's for sure. We need more pilots, and more fire pilots. Or how do you call yourself? Fire pilots, or what's your job description?
Fire pilot works.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's cool. I will come and visit you one day. That's for sure.
Okay, you're on.
Stefanie, thank you so much for your time and for all your insights. Yeah, thank you so much, and I wish you all the best. You have a special. Like we say, always happy landings. You have something else?
Blue skies.
Blue skies. That's good. So blue skies for you, Stefanie. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Das war der zweite Teil vom Interview mit der lieben Steph. Ich hoffe, das Interview hat dir genauso viel Spaß gemacht wie mir. Sehr, sehr beeindruckend, diese Dame. Ich hoffe, ich bekomme wirklich mal ein Treffen vor Ort hin mit ihr, mit der lieben Steph. Und dann gibt es natürlich auf jeden Fall ein paar Bilder auf Instagram. Falls du selber eine Frage oder ein Thema zum Fliegen hast, dann stell sie mir gerne per Rezension bei iTunes oder bei Facebook. Ich freue mich immer von dir zu hören. Und falls du Flugangst hast, dann hol dir doch mein kostenloses E-Book. Du findest es bei mir auf der Homepage www.cockpitbuddy.com. Ich wünsche dir und deinen Liebsten always happy landings, bleib gesund und wir hören uns in der nächsten Folge. Dein Cockpit Buddy, Suk-Jae.
Cockpit Buddy.